and this will provide the ventilation, because the main thing with chicken keeping is to make sure they've got plenty of air, I think. Okay, so here's this frame kind of finished. Frame out here for a pop hole door, a piece in there so that we can have a door below. And on the back end, I might just put in a central brace, and then we could look at also making a doorway on this side of this one. Okay, I'm not going to show it, but I am going to keep treating the ends where it's exposed. Inside the sleeping compartment, it's not quite so important, I don't think. But this outside bit where there's a door is a bit more important. Okay, on the back piece, we're going to put this piece in there, and then above it, so this below will be the door to get in and out the sleeping compartment. And this is quite low, and this will provide the ventilation, because the main thing with chicken keeping is to make sure they've got plenty of air, I think. And I think that's probably what's probably not right about my other one, is there's just a little vent at the top. So I'll put this on, and then we can put some kind of 6mm mesh, galvanised mesh, or hardware cloth if you're American, across there. And that should provide then some safe, stop stuff getting in there, but provide plenty of ventilation. Okay, in the sleeping area now we've got to decide on the pop hole size. Obviously it depends on the size of your chickens a little bit. My one down there is 9x8. I reckon having it a little bit wider, so maybe 9 by 9, but we've got to allow an inch for the floor as well, so I'm going to say it wants to be 10 inches or so high. Now when looking at the floor, I always think it's worth having the boards run the way that you'll be kind of pulling the muck when you clean it out. So we're going to have our door on the back here, the muck's going to come this way, so we'll lay our boards that way, otherwise you've got the joints as you kind of scrape it, which will get in the way. It's only a small thing, but I find it makes a bit of difference when you're cleaning the pens out. There's a case of just marking round to scribe it. So I've used these reclaimed boards, made a nice floor. I'm going to oil these up now before I fit them down. I'll fix them tomorrow because I've got to go pick the kids up in a minute. I'm just going to mesh the sides of this though first with the 1/4 inch mesh. I'll obviously leave out for the doorway, go make a doorway, go buy some hinges for that. And then the end I'm going to clad. I think I prefer it clad, completely clad, or at least up until there, because it just gives them a little bit of extra kind of protection from the wind or the rain should they want it. Some I see have like a whole section there clad in, but I'm not sure it's really worth it. So we'll do that and see what happens. It's obviously about keeping the weight so I can move it on my own as well. So you've got to keep the weight down a little bit. So let's mesh this, oil them. Can't go. Right. What did I say it was? Okay, it's getting dark now. Pick the kids up from school. Just try and get a little bit done before I've got to cook tea. But I've got my compressor outside. I've got my little Senko compressor that I used to use for second fixing a lot, trim work if you're American. It's ideal now just to staple on the galvanised mesh. Now I have messed up a little bit. If I'd done it a tiny bit shorter, I could have wrapped it over the top, which I'm not going to be able to do. So I'm going to make sure there's a bit of overlap on the bottom where it's more important. Obviously with this there's a number of wires that you can use. You could use rabbit wire, you could use different size kind of Avery mesh. I quite like this 1/4 inch stuff, this 6mm stuff, it's quite good. But it is quite expensive. I wouldn't use chicken wire, which is the bigger holes. just purely because I think a chick can get through it, and you know, and the idea is to like keep them confined. Right, make ourselves a quick little door for the hatch. Just screwing bits of wood together. That's it, but real technical stuff. Just to give it a bit of rigidity, I'm going to put a couple of braces on there. Just kind of stop it twisting, really. Alright, there's lots of different claddings out there. I've gone for a treated shiplap, but you can see, maybe not on that piece, you can see how far in the treatment goes. It's not amazing. So it's just one of those, really, kind of decide what you want to use. Feather edge is a lot cheaper. I have got some perspex down there, to be honest with you. I was tempted to cover it in wood and put some perspex on top, but it wouldn't look very cool for the video, so I thought I would use some shiplap. So I've cut the lengths up I need for to cover the sides now, and then I'm just going to do the front bit before I get too covered in. So that's going to go in there, and I'm leaving the piece on the drip on the bottom. I'll build this up now and leave it clear around the pop hole. And I'm going to screw these on, I think, so they're easy to replace in the future. I did pin the others on, but I do sometimes wonder, you know, how good the pins are. So I'm going to put, but when you're doing cladding, you kind of just put one. So you're going to put one, I mean, it's bone of contention. People argue about where you should fix. I'm going to fix down there. And the idea is that the tongue then holds the other piece down. If you put two fixings in, what can happen is the boards can expand and contract and they can split. So you want one fixing along the length of it, really, in one plane. Don't come at me with that one. Okay, the camera's in the chicken coop now. You can see I'm just going to put, so I've kind of scribed it around there. Doesn't matter about going right up to the corner. This is going to be covered over by this anyway. That allows for a bit of an overhang. So I'm going to fix that there. Do the same the other side. Build it up. The third one will have to be notched around the doorway and clad it up that way. Easy. We don't have to be too fussy. It's a chicken coop after all. But it is nice to have it looking right. And I have to admit, although this treated shiplap's not cheap, it does look nice. Okay, now we mark out for the pop hole. If you're clever, what you can do is mark your overlap before you put it on and measure the next piece. Okay, next bit is to make the door for the pop hole, and this is a bit where I'm actually going to use some really good quality ply. I've got a book that has all different chicken houses. The book must be 40 years old. Made out of plywood, and I tell you, unless you're building out a birch ply now, that would delaminate within a couple of days. So I'm going to use a bit of birch ply for this doorway. Might seem a bit of an extravagance, but I don't have to replace it. And what I'm going to make, I'm going to rip down some bits of this cladder and then sandwich it together basically, and make a rebate that the door can then slot into. The door's going to be 9mm. That's going to give me a 15mm gap. So it is a bit of a gap there. I'll put a piece of wood on top as well so that we can put fixings into there, and then we might, on another video, fit an automatic door opener to this coop as well, which I'm quite looking forward to doing. Okay, so it's really simple. That's going to go inside the coop. That's going to plant on top of it, and then the door will slide up and down inside it. Now I haven't made this go all the way to the bottom, so it's going to go like that. Not all the way to the bottom, because I know I haven't got enough travel if I do that by the time I've got the opener on top. So just trying to plan ahead for that. And that should go nice and easy. Up and down. Chop, chop, chop. I'm actually going to add a little strip across the bottom of the door to stop it opening too far. I don't want it pulling out. Get down before it gets too heavy. That went better than I thought. Before I take out and fix these end pieces for the cladding, what I've done is I've cut one end of the one, do the overlap, and I can mark where it's going to go. And save some to go back and forth. I can get them all cut ready and take them out. There's no point having it touch the floor, it's only going to soak up the wet, so it might as well be up a little bit. Okay, we're nearly there. So to take over all these little finishing off bits. Going to put the hinges on now on the side door, and then we can make the back door. The less ironmongery I have to buy, the better often. Saves money, and a lot of it is absolute rubbish these days. So I'm going to make a little toggle. Put a couple of screws in there, so it's just a couple of bits of wood. Just cut off cuts from the cladding, might as well use it up. Like that. We're bolted on, because otherwise if we screw it, it'll just come undone. So you're better off to do it right now, while you're thinking about it. Okay, so the first board I've ripped in half, and this first bit goes in there, and it is going to form a little lip, which does make it more awkward for cleaning out, but does mean you don't get loads of rubbish in the hinge, which can be a real pain. So it's kind of like 6 of one, half a dozen the other. You're going to end up using a trowel to clean this out anyway, and then we use this one. Then we'll build the door on up off it. Now we don't want this to be too tight in here either, so I'm actually going to take off about ½ inch, gives a bit of space, because otherwise with a triangle what happens is it pinches as it gets smaller. You can see that there, that so if I try and do it on that bit there, it's not going to work. So we'll make it a bit smaller. It's got plenty of cover, it's got this for protection as well. bolts I had weren't quite long enough, so I just countersunk it using a spade bit into the back. Will mean I need a socket. Last thing's to add some wire so that we can open the pop hole nice and easily, or some string. I'm just going to pop a screw in here. And then I've got some hooks as well, so we can hang a water feeder and a food feeder as well. And that means that when you move it daily, then you haven't got to take those out each time and put them back in. It's just one less thing to do. And it's easier to do it now while we're up by the workshop than down in the field. Just these. Bit of 2.5mm copper, reclaimed, should do the trick. Okay, so there we go. We've got the Broody Coop built and out into the field. Obviously, it's not the easiest thing to move on your own, but you can move it just one corner at a time, and you're only moving it 3 foot a day to just give the chickens some fresh grass. I really like it. Provides lots of protection at night. Gives them lots of kind of forage that they could do with some chicks in the daytime. Kind of gets the chicks used to having grass and bugs and things like that. So if you watch this through, I'd love a thumbs up. I'd love a subscribe. I'd love to hear from you about your kind of chicken coops. I understand that this doesn't work for everyone. Predator pressures are different, and different predators in different parts of the world. Obviously, we've got to think about things digging under. That's at night generally, so foxes and badgers and stuff might dig under at night time. And in the daytime, I'm protecting from buzzards and things like that. If predator problems were more of an issue, you could put mesh on the bottom as well. In the grass area, and just wide enough mesh to let some of the grass come through, and the chickens would peck at it, and it would provide that much extra safety as well. So there's lots of different ways you can adapt this and make it work for you. But yeah, thanks for watching, guys. I've really enjoyed making this. It's going to be used for many years to come. You'll probably see it in lots more videos. It's a great part of our chicken breeding, using the broody hen. If I was going to use this coop for some bantams or something like that, I'd add a perch inside it so they can roost at night. I much prefer my birds to roost. But when they've got young birds, they need to couch down and keep them warm. So yeah, thanks for watching. See you next time.